Hi, my name is Debbie Herbeck, and I'm the director of Be Love Revolution. One of the best questions I've ever been asked is, what do you have that I don't have? And I don't think when people ask me that, they're wondering about kind of information or material possessions. I think what it reflects is that someone's been watching me, and that in some small way, my life is reflecting the love of Christ. My life is reflecting something that I have that somebody else wants. So I'd like to talk a little bit about, I think, the difference between just knowing our faith, and I think sometimes as Catholics we can be good at kind of having all the head knowledge and the information, but how important it is in this day and age to be a credible witness to the love of Jesus Christ, to be someone who others can see and find Christ in. One of my favorite saints, and people that know me well know one of my favorite saints is Saint Mother Teresa of Calcutta. And there's so many stories. I've read so much about her, but I remember one story is she was holding a man who was dying, a leper who was dying, who was not a Christian. And he looked at her and he looked into her eyes and he said to her, "Mother, is your Jesus anything like you?" And I love this story because what it expresses is that in her, he found Jesus, and Jesus was being reflected back to him through Mother and through the way that she loved. We are all on earth for one reason, and that is to learn how to love. In fact, you could call our time on earth here the school of love, where God is teaching us how to love and to love well. This is our vocation, our primary vocation, as St. Therese talked about, is this call to love. Jesus says, "Love one another as I have loved you." So each person that we meet throughout our day is an opportunity for us to learn how to love as Christ loved, to learn how to love better each day, without preference, without discrimination, without limit, to learn how to love as Christ loves. And I think for many of us, this is challenging. I'm only going to speak for myself. I know that I can love preferentially. I know that it's easier to love people who are easier to love. But Christ calls us to love those who are most difficult to love. And so I think for all of us, it means to be able to let go of any kind of unforgiveness or any kind of bitterness or resentment, to not allow division or dissension to creep into our ability to love in the way that Christ loves. I believe that the secret weapon in all of the ages, not just in our times, that breathes hope and life into the church is holiness, and holiness that comes from this ability to love as the way Christ loves. Think about the martyrs and the saints who were forged in suffering and pain in difficult times. And their small, hidden lives of love and sacrifice, their surrender to God, have this incredible power, this ripple effect that changes lives. We know about many of the lives of the saints because books have been written about them. But in the times they lived, they were often obscure. They were often overcome with difficulties and temptations and trials in their lives. And now we see them tried through the fire of temptation. We see them as beacons of what it means to love and how we can love as well. I think so many of the saints in so many different ways were marked by this or characterized by this attractive force of love. And I believe this is what defeats the darkness in our world. This is what changes things. It's like this invisible superpower that makes a difference. A couple of years ago, we were in a middle school talking to some junior high girls, and it happened to be close to All Saints Day. And I remember talking to these girls who were preparing for confirmation, and I said, "Girls, can you imagine what it would be like if someday someone picks you as their confirmation saint?" And they were kind of blown away by it. They're like, "You mean the sponsor?" I said, "No, they're saint. Think about 100 years from now. You could be a saint, and some little girl sitting in the school could pick you as their confirmation saint." This is the vision that we want to have for our life. This is what the church needs. It needs saints whose lives are marked by holiness, by deep personal love for Jesus and for others. It's this legacy of love that's passed on through families from one generation to another, from person to person. This is what my life is about, not just in ministry, but primarily as a mother and now as a grandmother, to pass on this love from generation to generation through faithfulness, perseverance, and obedience to Christ. The church in our day needs saints. It needs married saints. It needs young saints. It needs female saints. It needs male saints. It needs saints who witness to what it means to love God passionately and to love those God has put in our life. In closing, I want to say during this time when it can be a time of real trial and discouragement, we are not the first Christians to be in conflict with the prevailing culture. But our faith enables us to live in the light of eternity and to continue to love even when it seems like the world is falling apart. So whatever difficulties we have, we want to continue to live in the love of Christ, to be a daily witness to the force of and the power of love that can not only change lives, but change civilizations, change the world, and change all of eternity. Please join me in being a witness to this love. God bless you.